Hey, what's up guys, Austin here, and today I'm here with my review of the iPhone 6. Wait a minute, are you talking about the new iPhone? Yeah, it's the iPhone 6. Oh wow, is that the one that bends? So obviously this phone has had a ton of hype like most Apple products do, but this is actually my first time owning an iPhone and I actually really like it. So this is the new iPhone. It's bigger yet slimmer, simpler but more curvy, but overall it still has a very familiar look to it. Now it's not as flashy as something like the 5S, but that's not really a bad thing at all. In fact, I have a love-hate relationship with this design. For example, the antenna bands and the protruding camera on the back. They're not the prettiest, but I got over them pretty quickly. On the other hand, this is one of the best feeling phones I've ever picked up. The back is completely aluminum and the edges are rounded along with the screen on the front, and it just feels so good to hold. But wait, there's more. You're gonna drop it. I probably almost dropped this thing about 4 times within a day of owning it. It's just really slippery, so I'd highly suggest that you get a case. Right now I'm using a Spigen Ultra Hybrid case. It doesn't really add any bulk to the phone, but it adds some grip, plus it hides some of the antenna bands and protects your camera that would otherwise be the first thing touched when you put the phone down. If you want to check it out, I'll put a link in the description, but honestly any case will solve this problem. Anyways, back to the phone. This is the iPhone 6, and the main difference you'll see here is the screen size. This is the 4.7-inch version, and as someone coming from a big Android phone, I don't really see how people use anything smaller than this, but with that said, I think this is a great size for iOS and just for the average consumer in general. Now, there is the reachability feature that allows you to double tap the home button for one-handed use, but after about the first day, I didn't really use it too much. Now the display is just above 720p, and while that's not anything revolutionary, it still looks pretty good. Colors are good and it's a really high quality panel, but it's probably not the best on the market like the Retina display used to be. One thing about the screen though, even though it's not an insanely high resolution, surprisingly enough, most of the apps don't actually support the resolution. Even popular ones like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, none of these apps are updated, so they're just blown up and upscaled to fit the new display size. They don't look that terrible and they're not unusable, but you can definitely tell that the text is a bit blurry, and honestly, it's just a shame that they're not taking advantage of the higher res screen yet. Now, something that I personally have been taking advantage of is Touch ID. So like before, it's located right below the screen on the home button, and it's probably my favorite feature on the phone by far. It just works. Now, I've heard a decent amount of people complain about it being too slow or not working on the 5S, but they must have fixed something, because out of the 2 weeks that I've been using this phone, it's only failed about 2 times, and every other time it's worked extremely quickly. Another feature of the phone that performed really well was the camera. Well, when it worked. So I'm pretty sure I got a defective unit because my camera only worked about 30% of the time, but I tried resetting the phone and everything, but I'm pretty sure it's just a hardware issue. So if you have any similar problems, you can just go ahead and send it over to Apple and they'll replace it for you. But for those times that it did work, it worked really great. Autofocus is really fast on this phone and performance overall is really good, but more importantly, the performance is consistent. Now, even though it's only 8 megapixels, this is one of, if not the best camera on a smartphone right now. It's not perfect though. Just like many other phones, the new iPhone suffers from visible noise in low light situations, but if you've got decent lighting, then you're solid. And in those low light situations, you're much better off than most of the other cameras on the market. Along with slightly improved pictures, you'll also get new features. So you have 1080p at 60 frames per second and 240 frames per second slow motion, as well as time-lapse video. Now, unfortunately for you Pixel lovers, you're not going to get 4K video recording, but you at least get 1080 video recording with image stabilization. Now, this isn't optical image stabilization like on the iPhone 6 Plus, but it will help with balancing your video when there's a lot of movement when you're recording. The slow motion video capture has been doubled from 120 frames per second to 240 frames per second, so you can get some really awesome slow motion shots. And if you're interested in slow motion, again, this is the best option you can get on a camera on a smartphone right now. On the other side of the scale, you can make time-lapse videos that turn out to look pretty great. Just a side note though, the time-lapse feature is not exclusive to the iPhone 6. It works with any phone that has iOS 8. But overall, the camera, protruding or not, is one of the best features of the iPhone 6. Now, the rest of the features lie in the software iOS 8. Now, I'm not going to get too much into depth because, again, this is not exclusive to the iPhone 6, but it does bring over some new features. For example, you can use third-party keyboards on the iPhone now, so if you're one of those people that love to use swipe, you can use that now. Also, another really small but helpful feature they've included is quick replies. So whenever you get a notification, you can actually just swipe down and just interact with the notification right there and either send a reply to a message or favorite a tweet without having to leave your current app. Again, these are not huge features, but it's nice to see stuff like this finally being implemented into iOS. And that's really what makes this such a solid upgrade from iOS 7 to iOS 8. Now, speaking again on the software experience of the iPhone, the performance on the new iPhone is really solid. Now, it still surprises me that they can get away with only a dual core processor and a single gig of RAM, but honestly, it seems to be enough for the phone. I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to have a lot of apps open at the same time, but I was able to switch from app to app with basically no hiccups. Even gaming performance was really solid. I played a decent amount of FIFA, and the phone never got too hot, but also never really stuttered during gameplay. Now, one thing that I usually talk about is speaker placement, and it does get a bit annoying that my hand covers it up a bit while playing, but with that aside, the speaker's quality is still pretty good. Now, it's not the best I've heard on a phone, but it gets surprisingly loud for only one speaker, and the audio is pretty clear. Now, the last thing that I want to touch on is battery life. So my first day with it actually didn't go over too well. Midway through the day, the phone was dead, but I'm pretty sure this was just because I was just getting acclimated to iOS 8. So I was basically using the phone nonstop the entire day, trying to get used to all the new features and used to iOS. But after that first day, after the first week, really, with normal use, this could easily last me through the day. And it's nothing spectacular. It's not like the iPhone 6 Plus where you can probably easily get about a day and a half of the battery life. But with normal use, it's pretty comfortable to get through the entire day. It's nothing spectacular, but it just gets the job done. And it's a pretty solid battery life. So that's about it for the iPhone 6, although there is one feature that I didn't really get to talk about in this video, and that is the fact that the new iPhone 6 and the 6 Plus now come with NFC. And the main reason for that is in conjunction with Touch ID, you'll be able to use Apple Pay. So again, by the time of recording this video, this feature is not yet available, but it should be a pretty nice feature. It'll allow you to make wireless payments using your phone and also use secure payments by using Touch ID. So this is the new iPhone, and at this point you might be wondering, well, should I upgrade from my old iPhone? Well, in my honest opinion, it's a really great phone, but it's nothing really more than an incremental upgrade from the 5S. It's a great phone, but there's nothing spectacular other than the screen size, which should have been this big already, that really sets it aside from that. You're still going to get iOS 8 on the other iPhone, so if you have a 5S, I probably wouldn't worry about having to upgrade to this phone, but if you have anything else like the iPhone 5 or the 4S, basically anything without Touch ID, then this would probably be a pretty solid upgrade, if not just for the screen size alone. So with all that said, that is my review of the new iPhone 6. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to hit that thumbs up button and leave a comment down below letting me know what you guys think of the phone. But as always, subscribe if you haven't already to catch all of my latest updates. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in my next video.